So hi everyone, today in this video we're gonna develop another mental model that can be useful for you, since mental models are representations about how the reality works. And as much more you grasp them, so higher is your probability to get the prosperity that you want. And prosperity obviously to get. So to you need and you rely in taking actions because it's the actions that you take that lead you to take and get the objectives that you want. But obviously you have almost infinite ways to act. So what could be predict better than you acting if you're gonna get prosperity or not is the actions that you take depend the context that you are. And for that, so you rely in your decision making. And to be a good decision maker, you rely a lot in having information, understanding how the reality work, and as much more so you get, higher will be the probability to succeed. But then, so how you grasp this knowledge, how you can do it. So, what's the best way to do is to grasp the knowledge that other ones have been studied, and then so you just can take the mental models and apply it in your life. It's like the easiest and still effective way. And then so what's going to be the mental model today? A one that's called the three waves of ideological dominance. Crisis that creates utopian vision, that creates institutionalization, that creates backlash. What's the core idea? Ideologies, religious, political, economic, rise and fall in four stages, driven by human needs for meaning, order, and hope. Society collapses when ideologies fail to adapt to new realities. Is that so? What this mental model seems to get as a pattern. But then, so obviously, we need to develop these four stages. The first one, the crisis, is what we call the spark. So, what it is, it's the stabilizing event like war, famine, or inequality that erodes trust in the old order. What could be kind of examples? A more type of recent one that's called so the 2008 financial crisis. The austerity, more job losses created the rise of populism. Example, the Trump, the Brexit, if you talk about in United Kingdom. What's the pattern? Is that crisis so create fertile ground for radical ideas because the crisis when the regime that the current one is not working. And then so if it's not working, it creates arguments so for people to think that so we can look for different things and we tend so to do if we when face a crisis we tend as well to look as a response something that's much different so from the present what it present have and then so we kind of go for what's commonly called as the extremes because it's much more different than so what are the normal oppositions that are more so around the center. But then, so obviously, what creates this, what these rise tends to create, it's as well, it tends to create so a specific type of mass, a group that starts so to look for this type of people that rise more in these circumstances. When it exists a crisis, there are people that tend to be charismatic. So normally with this type of politicians, it comes so a charismatic leader moment. So a charismatic leader in movement that offers a perfect future, like it will happen, equality, salvation, prosperity. What are like examples? We have the communism is example in 1048, the Marxist classless society. Marx, someone that is even remembered today, is someone that comes so in a specific region in the history that communism was seen as a potential type of scenario that people could exist and to so create a society that's better for everyone. And then so it comes with a movement and obviously a leader that has so this type of charisma. That is so Marxist. And then so Marxist with the classless society, it's so obviously comes with the exploited worker grievance. We have the Silicon Valley techno utopianism that comes in the decade of the 90s. The internet will democratize the world would be a statement that we have seen a lot in that specific region. Is when internet appeared, what tends to happen, we tend to overrate the impact that it has to so in the short term to solve our problems. What's the risk? So is the utopias ignore human complexity, like communism failures to account for greed, because when exist communities, centralization of power in resources in one specific type of entity, that entity can suffer with the greed, and then so they will even amplify more the action of corruption, because if it applies in the one that has like more than 90% of the resources, more worse so we can expect as the result. So sometimes these utopias, they don't see like the secondary consequences. They don't they fall they the reality that people fall in thinking they're perfect, they tend to adopt it without having certain type of caution. So obviously understanding that the has to be sharpened over the time, and then so obviously after the utopian obviously comes a civilization. It's a reality. So what is a stage after utopian vision is when it's so adopted that we know that in the future we're gonna see that it's not going to so make it much better probably than it was the whole region, but the reality is that it still passes for the phase that rises the populism at one point that is so adopted, and then comes the institutionalization of this utopian vision. So the ideology becomes rigid dogma enforced by laws, elites, or institutions. What are examples? The Catholic Inquisition enforced orthodoxy via fear, and the modern woke culture corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, and then so obviously creates performative compliance over real change. What's the pattern? Institutions prioritize control over original ideals. Obviously, so after the utopian vision, that is so the equality, salvation, prosperity, and then so them being adopted because they sound good, they got institutionalized, they became dogmas. They're so great laws to protect the elites that normally are the ones that promote these utopian visions, and as well as the institutions that have these type of politicians laws, they kind of start as so creating an environment that's going to get molded by this ideology. But then, so what happens after that? The backlash, the revolt, what it is. So the disillusionment triggers counter movements, often so mirroring the original crisis. What are like the examples? We have the Counter Reformation in 1545, the Catholic Church's response to Protestant gains, and anti-globalism in 2010's Brexit, the MAGA, as reactions to neoliberal excess. So what's the cycle? Backlashes, birth, new crisis, restarting the wave, a new ideology that comes again, that comes with as a utopian vision. It's institutionalized. People start to see that it doesn't solve all the type of problems that they have. Specific groups so start to get the crisis, existing backlash, the revolt towards this institutionalization, because what's like the best type of thing to create the type of a problem to not feel happy with something is when you have a comfort level. So when you compare the utopian vision that is talked with what so when it's institutionalized and applied in reality, we see so the difference between what's the real value that comes with just talking words of what seems to be good, but in reality when it's applied it doesn't bring that much good. But why this matter? We have examples in the artificial intelligence ethics. The tech elites they promise utopian artificial intelligence futures like solve climate changes, other things, but the risks of institutionalization bias like racist algorithms, other type of things. Climate activism, so Greta Thunberg's crisis framing creates so green New Deal policies that create potential backlash from fossil fuel workers, and culture wars, the progressivism versus conservatism. We around like in cycles. We have a government that comes with progressivism. People see that they don't like it. Comes again the conservatism. Conservatism brings something. People start not liking it. Progressivism starts well. What this comes is that we got that nothing is perfect, and that's why people tend to look more to be in the center. What seems to be better in the situation of one specific side of the spectrum from the right wing. Sometimes other people look for the left. It what tends to be the best, so be more in the center. But the reality is that we live in the world that's polarized, and the reality so that it's probably even more. We see even more cycles short cycles, people so become even more impatient because people want more short-term pleasures because social media is scrolling, and then so probably we will see a lot of cycles between the different parties, and then so not providing time from the specific party like 8 years 10 to so make a work that really has value and not so just rely in short term, and then so promoting policies that are more populism because it's what people tend to like more than so looking for so rewards in the long term. People are more focused than it were in wherever is the time in the past. In the long term, they're more focused in the short term today, and these caps can bring bad type of things. So I expect these videos make you gain insight. I expect it was enough to put a like and subscribe in this channel. And with that much more to say, just thank you and see you in the next one.